everybody. It's Allie. And welcome to our Y&R Chat for Sunday, April 16th, 2023. What? How is it that absolutely no one was clamoring this week to put together a memorial service for the 1-year anniversary of Ray Rosales' death on April 19th? That's the real shocker of the week. No memorial service for Ray's 1-year anniversary of death. Where is Ray's service, I ask you? Could we dedicate a room at the athletic club to Ray Rosales? Or if not, a whole room, maybe just the coat closet? We could put an oil portrait in the coat closet at the athletic club so that Ray's portrait could overlook the fur coats. You know, maybe make sure no one's stealing anything from the coat pockets. That would have been Ray's task for eternity. Make sure no one's stealing anything. Wow. All right. I know you're not here to talk about Ray Rosales. Last week, 78% of you voted in our Y&R Chat poll saying that you think the whole Phyllis fakes her own death story is a big disappointment, not a big drama. 78%, the vast majority of people, like 3 out of 4 people, think this whole story is no good. And okay, I am inclined to agree with you. I think that the plot itself is a little weak, but I have to say it was all worth it just to see Phyllis attending her own funeral in a ridiculous and unconvincing disguise. Fake glasses, fake wig with a weird hat thing pinned on top, and a uniform black dress. I'm just gonna slip in here among the Grand Phoenix girl group in their matching funeral wear, like the black dresses with the side V-neck. Those had to be the Grand Phoenix Hotel waitresses and hostesses, right? That's how I took it. Was it Crystal that was standing there? I thought those were the Grand Phoenix girls. Phyllis just kind of slipped in amongst them, conveniently with the similar dress. Did the hotel pay for that? Like, did the waitresses of the Grand Phoenix Hotel get fitted for special funeral dresses so that they could go and pay homage to their fallen leader? Oh. There's like 3 or 4 girls there just standing almost in a line. It just reminded me of a line of soldiers at a military funeral or something. I was waiting for them to start playing taps, but they're waitresses, so they would have to play tips. Did you like that? I've been waiting all week to say that. Tips, not taps. For the waitress girls. Maybe those waitresses also went to help put together the lovely table of champagne and hors d'oeuvres that were at the service. That is the way to go. That is the way to die. I want champagne and finger foods at my funeral. And just when I was thinking, you know what this funeral really needs is some live music. This funeral funeral really needs to be jazzed up a little bit. We need some music coming from that big set piece back there. And just when I was thinking it, Danny made it happen. Oh, Phyllis Summers, there will never be another you. Perfect title for a Phylliss funeral. But actually, this is a song that he has been singing for a long time. I think he must have sung it on the show back in the 80s, because there is this great clip on YouTube of Dianes singing There Will Never Be Another You on the Oprah Winfrey show in 1984, and he was going around serenading different women from the audience. This is how big soaps were in 1984. I mean, just he was serenading them, and each one by one, the women were just melting. The song is gorgeous, and Danny's voice is so smooth and soft. I mean, it was just as beautiful today, which I think he re-released the song. It's just as beautiful today as it was in 1984. You got to go to YouTube and look up that clip, and I just love piano music. I find it very relaxing. And ever since we have gotten the Jazz Lounge, I've been thinking, don't any of these people actually play piano? We cannot let that gorgeous black piano go to waste. Someone needs to get back there and tickle the ivories at least once a month. It does not have to be a whole thing. It doesn't have to be done to perfection. We just need somebody to get back there and use the piano a little bit. I will give Y&R a huge round of applause if they start just having someone go in and even just pretending to play that piano in the background. It doesn't even have to be a main cast member. It can be an extra. This person doesn't have to say or sing a word. Just play the piano a little bit and give the Neil Winters Jazz Lounge some life with some live music every once in a while. This is an opportunity that we cannot miss. Oh, but beggars can't be choosers. Yes, I thought that the musical interlude was a nice switch up from the usual funeral speeches, even though I thought those were all very lovely too. Summer said, welcomed everybody to the memorial and asked if anyone would like to say a few words. And Jack practically jumped out of his seat and said, okay, if I must, if you're going to pull my leg, I guess I'll say a few words. Because when he stood up, I thought, oh, here we go again. Jack Abbott never misses an opportunity for a speech. He's just been waiting for this, I'm sure. But, ironically, it was Jack's speech that was the first time that I've cried in any of this. I have had a hard time connecting with the sorrow of the situation just because, well, I know Phyllis is alive. I know she's right around the corner. So I've had a hard time really getting into the grief and feeling it all. But I will say it's just something about the magic of Peter Bergman, because something about Jack's retelling of Summer's birth sparked my memories and made me cry just a little. I also thought that Summer's speech, and Summer in general, was very moving through all of this. I say it every week, but I really feel like Allison Lanier is a gift to the role of Summer. I love her. I could feel her angst and regret. And Daniel, too. He was boosted by the surprise arrival of his lovely daughter, Lucy. And so he had some lovely words to say to go along with the portrait of Phyllis that he painted, which was really just a photo of Phyllis from the halfway point credits. Cleverly disguised with some Photoshop brush splotches, but don't let me spoil that for you. Daniel was up late one night painting the masterpiece that was the Phyllis portrait. Just go with that. Never mind what I said about Photoshop. It was lovely, lovely. Everyone had lovely things to say about Phyllis. Well, everyone except Diane. Oh, how awkward. Summer was intense this whole week. Summer, at this point, has a vendetta. Summer heard Diane tell Phyllis that she should kill her, and then Phyllis ends up dead. So Summer is convinced that Diane is her mother's murderer. So Summer wanted to both avenge her mother's death and create a celebration of life all at the same time. She's very efficient, Summer. She worked tirelessly, all by herself, planning this memorial service. The nerve of the florist who was questioning Summer's unconventional flower choice. We heard Summer on the phone arguing with the florist who was, I guess, saying, well, I don't know, this is an unconventional flower choice for a funeral. What is an unconventional flower choice for a funeral? Venus flytraps? I mean, that would have actually been completely conventional for someone like Phyllis. That would have been wholly appropriate. I wish we would have had Venus flytraps as Phyllis's funeral flowers. Okay. So when the toxicology report came back on Phyllis's blood, Chance reported to both Christine and to Summer that Phyllis's cause of death was poisoning. And then Chance just so happened to find an empty bottle of strychnine rolling around on the floor in Phyllis's suite at the athletic club, the purchase of which was linked right back clearly to Diane Jenkins. Diane Jenkins! She must have bought that poison using her credit card. She went to the Genoa City Deadly Poison store. It's upscale artisan poisons. At the Genoa City Deadly Poison store. 10% of all sales go to animal rescues, just so you know. So she was conscious about where she bought her poison. Sure, makes sense. Oh. Chance totally skated over Jeremy Stark. I mean, he knows Jeremy's there. Jeremy's a known criminal. He questioned him a little bit, but why would Diane be so obvious about planning a murder? I mean, it's so convenient. But Summer told Chance, just come to my mother's jazz funeral and watch Diane. Watch how everyone reacts, in fact, but you'll see. Look at Diane's reaction. She did it. And Summer created this moment where she pressured Diane to stand up and give a speech, much to Phyllis's delight, by the way. Phyllis was standing there watching Diane squirm and watching Summer pressure cook Diane, and Phyllis kind of had this smile on her face like, atta girl. And I felt so weird for Diane because I think Diane didn't know what to say. She was trying to be considerate of Summer's grief. She's being put on the spot. But she stood up and yeah, she looked really nervous as Chance was watching her, but not for the reasons that he thinks. And wouldn't you know it, right in the middle of the memorial service, right in the middle of Danny's song, in fact, Chance got a warrant to have the Abbott house searched, and there's some evidence that was bagged. I don't know, maybe a sales receipt for the strychnine, or was it a letter that Phyllis had written her? I don't know. Who knows? Some other ridiculous evidence that no one believes except the authorities. The authorities are the only ones buying this story. Well, in Summer. But hey, we got the drama. We got the drama. I mean, Chance didn't even wait for the crowd to disperse before he handcuffed Diane and hauled her out of there with Jack and Kyle kind of tittering behind. They put up some light resistance to coming with me. And Chance was like, no, forget it. I'm arresting you on the spot. And then they walked out of the scene through, like, where the camera would be, which is weird. Everybody comes down the back staircase. But remember, the paramedics came in from the camera side. I thought that was strange. Why bother coming down the staircase if you can also exit from the camera side? I don't understand the comings and goings of the jazz ballroom. But that's where Diane got hauled away from. Oh, but I especially loved the moment when, right before she walked out, Diane looked directly at Michael and desperately said to him, Michael, will you represent me? And Michael took a moment to think about it. I mean, he's grieving. One friend is now being arrested for another friend's murder. What's he supposed to do? But standing there in front of the portrait of Phyllis and her grieving family, there was really only one thing that Michael could do: stay neutral. He told her, you could tell he was conflicted, but he told her, call another attorney and do not say another word until they get there. Whew, that moment gave me chills. Apparently, next week, Jack asks Michael again to represent Diane after Jack also asked Christine, the DA, to put a stop to all of this nonsense. Obviously, Jack is going to be doing anything and everything that he can to refute the evidence that points to Diane and to find the evidence that points to Jeremy. But I think Jack would get the shock of his life if he follows all this evidence and realizes that the evidence doesn't point back to Jeremy, but to the dead woman herself, Phyllis. I think that would be a fun twist for Jack. But then again, Phyllis may end up busting herself out instead, because after going to her own funeral, Phyllis is regretting this decision pretty hard. Oh, you mean people were actually sad when I tricked them into thinking that I was dead? Well, maybe I should be alive after all. Okay. It's kind of, I don't know why I thought of this, but it's kind of a stark comparison just coming off of the Chelsea suicide story. Just from a few months ago. Chelsea was someone who felt so isolated that she actually did want to kill herself. And here we have Phyllis, who has faked her own death, in effect, killing herself. And then she changed her mind when she got the attention that she was looking for. It's a little yuck. So, do you think that Phyllis is going to end up busting herself? And if so, how will she come back from that? Or do you think that maybe someone's going to follow Jeremy's trail right back to her? Phyllis and Jeremy had a pretty intense fight on Friday. Phyllis is showing all of this regret, and Jeremy just wants her to get out of town according to plan so that she doesn't now blow their cover. But Phyllis doesn't take orders from anyone. She was fierce getting up in his face, and I was feeling all the Phyllis right there. But then he grabbed her and threatened her back, saying that if she doesn't cooperate, then he's going to make her dead for real. Wow. Oh, there's like so many ways that this could go. But I want it to stretch out a little bit longer because I kind of like the idea that Phyllis could just placate Jeremy for a little while longer, make him think that she's gone, and then maybe really be gone from the screen. I want some weeks to go by where we don't see Phyllis, and then I want Phyllis to show up at Diane's trial and reveal that she's really alive. That is some classic soap. This week we got the official update. Mr. and Mrs. Williams are over. Oh. I don't know if I totally understand what happened. I guess retirement was just too much for Paul, I guess. I don't totally get what went wrong, but the way Christine described it to Lauren, it sounds like maybe they just drifted apart. Like maybe they both retired and now there's all this time and space and they realized they didn't have as much in common anymore. I'm just not completely clear. Maybe it was just a slow coming apart. But I appreciated that Lauren was the one who Christine chose to open up to, especially since Lauren was married to Paul too. Who better to commiserate with than one of his exes? I just am left with this sadness that things went so sour with Doug Davidson. But I am glad that Y&R has at least tried to resolve this loose end. It was a long time coming. And I'm kind of excited that maybe we could potentially see a Christine-centered story now. Like maybe now that we have had this momentous 50th year anniversary milestone of the show, maybe Laura Lee Bell will start to feel inspired to keep participating, and maybe we can dig into more of the details about what happened with her and Paul, and maybe talk about where she is at this stage in her life. Just catch up with her and where she is as a person. Maybe even explore the relationship that got cut short with Danny because of Phyllis. I'm wondering if you guys would be excited to see that. I think we'll make that our poll question for this week at yrchat.com. Would you like to see a Danny and Christine reunion in 2023, or do you feel like that boat has sailed? I don't know, call me nostalgic, but I think that with Phyllis in the forefront right now and with Daniel back in town, I think this is the perfect time for a Danny and Christine reunion to happen. The baby's kicking. Little Adam Jr. is going to be here any day now. That's how it goes, right? Baby kicks and then baby born a couple days later. Adam Jr. Or it could be a Sally Jr. Or both. Could be twins. Well, one baby's Adam's, one baby's for Nick. Somehow that made it through the sonogram now. Or they didn't notice it before, but now they can do the sonogram to find out the gender, and it's two babies. One's Nick's, one's Adam's. Nah, probably that boat has sailed. But I can't wait to see the doctor's appointment with all three of them in the sonogram room. Nick and Sally and Adam. The technician, the sonogram technician, will surely be judging them. One mom and two guys. The technician's going to be giving them the side eye like, How much longer can this go on? How much, I ask you? The moment when Adam had his hand on Sally's belly was melt-worthy. And yet I feel so distant from it all because it's dragged on for so long. And it's just like, ugh, they're just clearly meant to be together. Why are we... Everything just feels like a waste of time. Everything leading up to it just feels like a waste of time. Just put them together, Y&R. Maybe maybe we're getting there. Maybe we're getting closer to Adam and Sally finally realizing what the audience has been realizing for like ever now. Well, actually seeing a little cuddly, chubby baby may be just the thing to pull Adam and Sally together. Welcome to the world, Aria Porter Copeland. Oh, this was beautiful. And at first I thought that we were not going to see the baby. Mariah walked into the coffee house alone, and I thought, ugh, here we go again. Just another report from Mariah with some photos that we won't be able to see. But apparently Mariah was just doing some pre-prep, checking out the coffee house beforehand, just to make sure that there weren't any unsavory characters hanging around, hacking their germs all over the tables and chairs and walls that could get on her new baby. And when the coast was clear, Tessa wheeled the stroller in, and again, I thought, oh man, Tessa and Mariah and Sharon are just gonna stare at this empty stroller all day, pretending that there's a baby in it. But no! Much to my surprise, out popped a chubby-wubby little cherub. Admittedly, that really made me smile. I love chubby babies. That kid was just so cute. And I mean, I thought everyone was so cute around the baby too. It was just joyous. It felt happy. It made me feel happy. I love how all in Sharon is on being a grandma. And I thought it was really nice that Elena got to come in too and be a part of it all, since she's been such a good friend to Tessa and to the family. Noah and Faith weren't around though. I'm surprised that we haven't got a cameo, at least from Noah. He just disappeared, I guess. I guess he's just gone. Or maybe he'll come back. I don't know, because I'm kind of wishing that we'll get a baby shower. We've got to get a baby shower, right? A spring baby shower would really be something fun for the show. We could get outside, throw it at Chancellor Park, do some balloons, bunch of presents, pink cupcakes. Wouldn't that be perfect? A new season, a new baby, a new life, and a new beginning for Mariah and Tessa. It's amazing that Ashley truly can't see the irony of her relationship with Tucker stacked up next to Jack's relationship with Diane. What is the difference? Ashley and Jack had this big, great blow up over it this week. And I'm just thinking, Ashley, there's no difference between Jack's relationship with Diane and your relationship with Tucker. You just love somebody, you choose to love somebody despite their past, and then you decide to believe that they are capable of making different choices in the future. Diane has been saying all the same things to Jack that Tucker has been saying to Ashley. And yeah, I guess you could argue that Diane faking her own death is worse than anything Tucker has done. But if faking your own death is the worst thing that a person can do, well then Phyllis is about to equalize Diane's actions by having done it too. I love watching Jack and Ashley argue, so I really can't complain as a viewer. But I love both Jack and Diane and Ashley and Tucker. Watching Tucker playing with Ashley's hair and kissing her fingers and just watching her cold shouldering him the whole time, it's just a fun dynamic to watch. Tucker is really hoping that Ashley will agree to a fake engagement that's designed to get up under Jack's skin and kind of upstage Jack and Diane's real engagement. But Tucker's hoping that their fake engagement will turn real. And I love that idea. I want to do that. I want to go there. I want it to be less talk, more action. Where's the ring? If you're serious about this, Tucker, go get a ring. I hope he will. I hope it's not all going to be over. In the previews for next week, Tucker is saying, well, I'm just going to leave town and sell my company then, if you're not going to be into it, Ashley. And I mean, I have to confess, I do not care at all about McCall Unlimited. There, I said it. I care about Ashley and Tucker's relationship, but that is all. I don't care one iota about McCall Unlimited. Anytime the company is mentioned now, my eyes glaze over. A month ago, even maybe 2 months ago, everyone was fighting over it. Everyone wanted it. Now no one wants it, and I don't care. The whole thing never went anywhere. The only thing I care about is watching Tucker. And preferably with props. Give that man a pillow. He will stick his face in it. Give that man a bottle of apple juice. He will pretend that it is a fine vintage, treating it like a bottle of wine. I just love him. Why doesn't he just run his company? Why does he have to sell it? Can't he just run it and make it into something new? I don't want Victor to get a hold of it. Adam doesn't need this company. Why can't Adam just start his own business selling hair care products? Hey, Nate. What happened to... I'm committed to my relationship with Elena, and I fought really hard to get my life back, and I'm not going to do anything to mess it up this time. What happened to that? 2 glasses of bourbon, and you threw it all out the window? Don't get me wrong, thank you. Just thank you. I do appreciate it. You're going to be sorry, but thank you. Damn. He brushed everything off the desk, hoisted Victoria up onto the desk, and he really got in there. And his pants are so tight, like you could really see his butt. If you were watching really closely many times, you could really see his butt. I was like, did my birthday come early? This is a gift to me. I love desk sex. I know they didn't end up actually consummating it, but I love desk sex, especially when it comes with the sweep everything off the desk first move. Oh, that is classic. So satisfying. But boy, oh boy, is Nate gonna regret it. I mean, Victoria might end up regretting a little bit, but Nate's really gonna be the one to regret it here. And I'm not just talking about the personal guilt this time, the cheating on Elena stuff this time. He's gonna regret this because Audra overheard it. And Audra is going to blackmail Victoria to get his job. That's it. Audra, who knows, may even threaten to tell the media. Audra could put Victoria's job at risk too. Who knows? By this time next week, Victoria and Nate could be working at Audra Enterprises. Audra is playing a long game here because she had a chance to alert Nick to what was going on the inside of Victoria's office. I mean, Nick and Audra are both standing there in the reception area, which I love, by the way. I love Connie's desk area. And it will always be Connie's desk area, no matter who is sitting there. Connie forever. But Audra could clearly overhear all the pleasure. Just Victoria and Nate emanating sex sound waves through the door. But then Nick showed up and she kind of covered it up, and she didn't have to. She could have said, hey, listen in. She didn't do that. Nick kind of went away and came back later, and he knocked on the door and ended up busting in on the fun, and Nate and Victoria didn't end up having the sex that they should have had. But and Nick acted a little dopey at first. Nate left the room, and as soon as Nate left the room, Nick really had a bratty reaction at Victoria about it all. He was like, fix your hair, fix your button. He was picking up all of the sex stuff off the floor, like all of the debris that went flying when they flung the desk stuff off of the floor. Nick picked it up and dropped it down on Victoria's desk in a fit. Like he was dad. Like he was a dad catching his 16-year-old daughter making out in her bedroom or something with a boy under her bed. I mean, you're not Victoria's dad, Nick. You're not even her big brother. You're her little brother. And she didn't have half of that reaction when you were having desk sex with Sally. So, come on. But I think it's all to a larger purpose. I think Nick's big reaction here is just laying the groundwork so that he can have a big I told you so when it turns out that Victoria and Nate's affair is going to have a negative effect on the company because now Audra is blackmailing them over it. Am I being seduced? Well, that was last week's Who Said It quote. The answer is Nate. But Nate wasn't saying, am I being seduced to Victoria? No, he was saying it to Elena just last week. Just last week, Nate was trying to repair the relationship with Elena, and he's fawning over her in her beautiful gala dress and trying to reassure her that nothing's going on with Victoria. And then out of the blue, 2 glasses of bourbon, and he's like, being seduced by Victoria. Crazy. Well, congratulations, Ron, Henry, Victoria, good old Marky, Daisy, Sherrod, and Jamie. You guys guessed correctly that was Nate. Now, how about this quote? I like it. I knew that this was it the second I heard it. You tell me if you know who said it. I'm waiting for a whale. Weird. Who said it this week? I'm waiting for a whale. If you think you know, go to yrchat.com, and if you get it right, I will give you your shout out during next week's Y&R Chat. How about some of your comments for the week, starting with Gary, who says, with that crazy Brenda Dixon, Jill Abbott 80s dress, Y&R's creative team put their heads together and decided to jack up Audra Charles and turn her into a barracuda vamp. Costuming tells it all. Did Y&R decide all of a sudden Charles needed an extra oomph? I think so, Gary. I mean, they did. It was, I love that you mentioned this is very out of the 80s. It feels like a very soap opera classic 80s styling that Audra is given. A lot of her clothes are questionable. I loved her gala, beautiful blue sparkling dress. But sometimes the things that she wears to the office are like, what? It definitely takes me back. Victoria says, Audra's black and white puffy dress with the gold accents was so unflattering. She looked ready to jump in the kiddie pool for a game of keep away. Those sleeves will keep her afloat. That's why it's coming off as 80s, Gary, because it looks almost like it could be a shoulder pad. It's the puffy, it's that silhouette of the big shoulders. Yeah, it actually kind of works for the thing she's about to probably pull off, the power move that she's about to pull off, but I agree it was awful. Sue W. says, The up the crotch opening was the worst of all. But I guess the tight backside needed some relief to help the wearer move. Gary is so right. Audra was channeling the 80s Jill Abbott. Yes, it really, I see it. I absolutely see it. And Sue W., when she turned around and showed you describe it perfectly, the up the crotch opening. It was truly terrible. But that makes it chat worthy and therefore notable and therefore I like it. Well, I also like this point from Gary, who says, in contrast to how it would have been done in the old days, Y&R doesn't really feature the Nate-Elena relationship. So when he cheats on her, the crux of the whole story, I would think, the betrayal, is so neutered down because Nate and Elena are hardly a couple anyway. The relationships are not rounded out in the traditional way for maximum audience emotional involvement in the story. You know, I think this is an argument that can be made all the way around, because I think that's the fatal flaw of the Phyllis story. The stories aren't rounded out in the traditional way for maximum audience emotional involvement. Had we thought that Phyllis was dead, we would have had maximum emotional involvement in the funeral. And then they could have just had her show up in the disguise in the funeral. I wish we didn't know that Phyllis and Jeremy had the plan. It seems like Y&R does that a lot. And it's interesting. They let the audience in on the plan instead of going for the shocker. But I like, you know, of course, you bring it up talking about Elena and Nate. And yeah, it's like we're not that invested. Is anyone actually invested in Elena and Nate staying together? Anyone? I kind of doubt it. I don't hear a whole lot of comments of people who love Nate and Elena and are really rooting for them to work it out. This story really is just not about Elena. It's just about watching Nate betray her with Victoria. And I agree it's neutered. That's an interesting way to put it. I think you're probably right. And Gary, with a lot of good comments here, notes Nick's quote saying, "Is that the way you usually wear your hair?" Hilarious. Yeah, is that the way you usually wear your hair? It looks a little messy. Yeah, he was really in rare form. It was so, I was kind of turned off, honestly. It was funny. It was all very funny. But I just was like, why, Nick? Why are you so upset about this? It's not as if you haven't had sex in the office. It's not as if everybody hasn't had sex in the office. Why is this so bad? I was kind of surprised by his reaction, although I completely admit it was hilarious and it made for a really catching scene. So keep it up. But it was just like, all right, whatever. I also like this from Sue W., who says, Nick and Victoria, loving brother and sister, spend their whole lives in righteous judgment of the other's deplorable moves. All while having each other's backs, of course. Guess that's what a Newman sibling bond is all about. Yeah. Except when it comes to Adam, I guess. But Nick and Victoria, and Abby, but Nick and Victoria, that's their sibling bond. Righteous judgment of the other one, but got your back when the chips are down. That's how Victor trained him, right? Well, Sherrod says, I truly love the Adam and Sally pairing, but to me, once again, the show only gave Tessa and Mariah a real baby so that they could prop up the couple of Adam and Sally. Yeah, I noticed that too. It was the whole Mariah and Tessa happiness scene was very quickly shifted over into the awareness of Sally and Adam and thinking about their impending baby. I think is it Sue W. who was still thinking maybe there could be some kind of twist going on in there, that it's too big of a coincidence that Mariah and Tessa have this baby at the same time as Sally. Is there going to be some kind of connection there? Y&R definitely made it. I don't know if they're going to make it in a larger sense, though. Oh, Tina B says Victor is going to stick his nose in that triangle soon, I believe. Maybe he will try to get Nick to back off, but I think you're right, Sherrod. Victor's interference may backfire and a stubborn Nick will propose. Yeah, you're right, because we saw in those previews that Adam was telling Victor that Sally's pregnant and he's in love with her. Dad, my girlfriend's pregnant and I'm in love with her. Papa, don't preach. I'm in trouble deep. No, yeah. So this is a really interesting idea, though, Tina B, that probably Victor's going to hear this. He's going to say, okay, well, Adam's got Sally pregnant. I'm going to talk to Nick, make him back off, and maybe Nick will double down and do a proposal. Oh. Well, new topic. Diana says, I'm so glad we're still getting the classic set of the Athletic Club Hotel and Lounge. The sets are so much bigger as well as nostalgic. We're told the Grand Phoenix is under renovations. Yeah. That makes Y&R, that Y&R is not going to go through all the trouble of giving us these big sets just to use for a couple of episodes. It is much more fun watching the show, not having to see the same old sets all the time. I hope Y&R decides to keep the classic sets and sell the Grand Phoenix. Yeah, we heard that the Grand Phoenix is undergoing renovations. I was kind of happy to see that too, only because it means that we get the Athletic Club back. I think it's a beautiful set. In addition to the beautiful revolving door and the entryway, we have the lovely staircase that leads up to the rooms. We have the bar area. We have multiple spaces for people to, we have the couch space. We have table space, another table. There's multiple places for people to have chats. And then we also have the addition of the Neil Winters Jazz Room, which admittedly is dark. Boy, spending so much time in that room over the past couple of weeks has made me realize that that it's a lot like it used to be, where just staring at it so much, it feels like it's nighttime all of the time, with that red curtain and the really dark blue walls and the black piano. It is a starkly sort of evening set. Even though that's how the Grand Phoenix was different. I will say the Athletic Club is darker, the Jazz Room is darker. The Grand Phoenix had light. It had light coming through the entryway. It was, I don't know, it felt more airy and open and tall. And I don't have a problem with the Grand Phoenix. I like the Grand Phoenix just fine. I like the Athletic Club better at this point, but I hope Y&R mixes it up. I don't want to spend too much time in the basement. I like the dark set, but maybe it's more for evening. I'll tell you what I'm okay losing is the Glam Club. Not that there was anything wrong with the Glam Club. It also was perfectly beautiful. It was maybe a little too glam, though. Oh, we can't have everything that we want. And as soon as we get what we want, we're gonna want whatever we had. 5 years from now, we're all gonna be like, ugh. The Jazz Club's too dark. The Athletic Club is too stale. Old money. We need something like the Grand Phoenix back. It's really all about rotating the sets, I think. That's what they got to do. Rotate them. Well, how about this? Tina says, I guess when you fake your death, you automatically get a velour sweatsuit of your favorite color. Oh, and also when you get kidnapped. Yes, Tina B. And also when you grieve, you get the velour jumpsuit. It's anytime you are a little under the weather. If you're sick, you get the velour jumpsuit. It's just pick your color and there you go. Summer had her chocolate brown vanilla grief velour sweatsuit last week. This week, Phyllis had the navy blue regret sweatsuit. Velour sweatsuit. It is such a trope. I hope it never goes away. Honestly, I love the joke enough. I love the trope enough that I want to keep it forever. So please, Y&R, don't take it as a criticism. You're doing it right. You're giving me material to work with. Well, Jamie says, come on, woman. Double-cross Stark and pin this whole revenge fake death mess on him. Claim he faked the marriage certificate, poisoned you, kidnapped you, faked your death, and framed Diane all by himself. Say that he's obsessed with you and getting revenge on Diane. So that should just about solve this sloppiness. Show Mr. Stark who the F Phyllis Summers really is and escape already. I love that. That is the perfect out for Phyllis right now. Stark has become a liability to her. She needs to frame him and just run out of that room saying, he kidnapped me, he did the whole thing by himself. Nobody's gonna believe him over her. She can play the victim. It would absolutely be a motive that Jeremy would be trying to frame Diane. I mean, he did it before with the jewelry heist. Or wait, no, they framed him. Or he would have a motive for wanting to get back at Diane, and it would totally clear Phyllis altogether. But Sherrod says, oh, Phyllis does show him who she is. She's going to kill him. Oh, so Phil, you think, because it was really intense between them. It was threatening. It was like she was threatening him in his life, and then he was threatening her in her life. So you think that she's just gonna permanently solve the problem and kill him. Yeah, that would work. I feel like pinning it on him, Jamie's idea, would be way smarter though. But killing him would take care of the problem forever. Let's let Daisy fluff out this theory for us. Daisy says Phyllis might become so enraged at Stark that she kills him. Then she calls the police and claims that Stark kidnapped her to set up Diane, and that he also stole her money and tried to blackmail her into silence on the guise that everyone was against her, including her children. He made it look like she had set up Diane, but she said no, and Stark then tried to kill her, so she fought back and she killed him. But Phyllis only thought that she killed Stark. He's alive and unconscious at a hospital. Phyllis is there for evaluation and wonders if she should sneak into his room and smother him, but just as she was slowly getting to her feet, trying to decide, the hospital alarm goes off. Elena enters Phyllis's room and lets her know that Stark has disappeared, and the police believe he had help. Ooh, that is so good. And it actually, Daisy, that completely connects both the theories, that Phyllis could do both. She could both kill Jeremy and pin it on him. Or, I love your twist that maybe she only thinks she killed him and he ends up getting away and she has to pay recompense eventually. She's gonna have to pay recompense eventually, right? Y&R's not just gonna let her get away with it. I mean, go ahead, pin it all on Jeremy, and then Phyllis just walks away. I didn't do anything. He did it all, not me. Sue W says, Phyllis is gonna need some spectacular move to come back to life, like saving Diane or Jack or someone at the very last minute from certain death at the hands of Jeremy. Or Phyllis could give somebody a body part. Heroic moves from a pariah are the way that soaps start the shunned on a path to redemption. Or, I guess, when Phyllis is revealed to be alive, she could just apologize a billion times over and over until she starts to wear people down to forgive her, as did Diane. But I don't think that'll work. The best twist, as far as I'm thinking, is that Diane and Phyllis are already working together to bring down Jeremy, keeping Diane safe in the ho-hum GC jail. Maybe Summer, Daniel, and heck, why not the whole town is in on it too? That would be no more goofy than the current plot. Ooh, Phyllis and Diane in it together to get rid of Jeremy Stark. I like that a lot. Kamna says, Summer did a double take when she saw Phyllis at the memorial. This may be wishful thinking, but wouldn't it be amazing if Summer is the one to figure out that Phyllis faked her own death and then she helps exonerate Diane? I know, if anybody's going to find out that Phyllis faked her own death, who should it be? Who would be the best first person to figure it out? I kept thinking somebody was going to bump into her at the funeral. I thought it was going to be Nikki. She almost seemed like she was going to see it and then maybe not say anything. Summer would be great. I guess I didn't notice the moment of Summer doing the double take directly at Phyllis. Darn it, I must have missed that. But that would be good. Jack figuring it out would be good. Diane herself figuring it out would be good, and nobody believing her. Ooh. Well, speaking of nobody believing Diane, Ellen says, when I poison someone, I always make sure that the poison can be easily traced right back to me. I use my personal debit card to buy my scary potion, and then I keep any leftover poison and other evidence around for the police to find, because I'm evil, but also very, very stupid. I'm evil, but also very, very stupid. Yeah, I know. It is totally ridiculous. And the only people who don't see that are the authorities. Henry says, I guess I can take comfort in knowing that Jack, Kyle, and even Christine don't believe for a second that Diane is a murderer. Summer, I think deep down doesn't believe it either. Chance is truly going to look like an idiot if he doesn't pursue Jeremy Stark, and soon. It's interesting, Henry, that you thought that Jack, Kyle, and Christine... Well, Jack, Kyle, yeah, but you thought Christine didn't believe it? I don't know. I guess I got the impression that Christine did believe that Diane could be the murderer and that she was just following evidence. I think both Chance and Christine do think that the evidence points to Diane, and therefore it must have been Diane. But that's an interesting other idea. You never know. I mean, they could be arresting Diane, holding Diane, and secretly pursuing or tailing Jeremy. And if that's the case, then Jeremy would certainly lead the police right back to the hotel room that Phyllis is staying in. Sherrod says, even though Summer may be grieving, I don't think Kyle defended his mother enough to Summer when she went after Diane, insisting that she speak at the memorial. Even Jack excused her behavior. Yeah, I guess thinking that your mother-in-law killed your mother definitely puts a strain on a marriage, you know? I think Summer believes it wholeheartedly, and I think Kyle doesn't believe it at all. So yeah, and then there's the in-between that will ruin their relationship, and then who knows, maybe Kyle hooks up with Audra, if anything is to be read into about the little interaction that Audra and Kyle had at the gala. Oh, how about this comment from Ellen, who says, wow, Michael, you disappointed me. Diane needed an attorney right then and there, and you let Lauren call you off. That was so weak. You looked like a wimp, a real loser. If your spouse controls your decisions, the marriage is doomed or unhappy. Take your pick. I hope this isn't a sign of things to come. I guess I must have missed that. Did Lauren give Michael the look or something that influenced his decision? I guess I wasn't watching Lauren at all. I was just watching Michael, and I was thinking, oh yeah, just err on the side of staying out of it, you know? I mean, one friend is being arrested for the other friend's murder, and then, like, if Michael would have said, yes, sure, right in front of the family at Phyllis's memorial, I think that would have made him look bad too, so maybe he couldn't win. But it's an interesting point, and there's some follow-up here, starting with Gary, who says, the original Michael Baldwin, the one who would move mountains for his lady love, is dead. Today, Michael's kind of a comical, whimsical, wisecracking court gesture for his more imposing wife, Lauren Fenmore. Yes, dear. Chats want to speak of the sexy white hair, but what happened to his soul? I am no longer a fan of the Michael Baldwin character. He often appears buffoonish to me. Burn! Burn, you guys. I guess maybe I have a rose-colored glasses on when I see Michael Baldwin. I don't know. He's just my favorite. He's always been my favorite. Maybe he can do no wrong in my eyes now. But I think you do make probably a correct point that Michael's kind of a comical, whimsical, wisecracking, former illusion of himself. He's sort of a cartoon version of his former self now, which doesn't bother me as much. And I guess I did not pick up at all on the fact that, like, as you said, Lauren Fenmore is the more imposing of the two figures, but I guess you're probably right. Naomi says, I agree. My opinion is that the actor's having fun with what little material he gets, and he's becoming a caricature of the original Michael. Yeah, oh, that's a good description, a caricature of the original Michael. Well, he's just not on the show enough to give us, any really deep dives at this point, but I always enjoy him when he's on. I'm always I think you're right that the actor's having fun with it, and therefore I'm having fun with it. I guess I didn't think as deeply about it as you guys did. Sherrod says, don't give up on Michael just yet. He has to be the one to defend Diane. I don't think the show will hire a day player to be Diane's attorney. This way there will be drama in the Lauren and Michael marriage. There you go. That's probably right. So maybe Michael's instinct at first was no, but then in the previews he's telling Nikki that Jack asked him to represent. Maybe Michael goes to look into it, thinks that it stinks, because, you know, Michael's like, yeah, no, this is too obvious. There has to be another reason. So maybe Michael does agree to represent Diane, and maybe that really ticks Lauren off and causes some problems between them. Yeah, that actually could be really good. I like that. I hope that's what happens. Well, Astra says, I loved Michael Damian's song. I went to my streaming service and there it was. It came out only a few weeks ago. Yeah, I was confused, Astra, because I looked up the song. And what I got was the vintage clip of him singing it in the 80s. But apparently he must have re-released the song. And what's your streaming service? I mean, I'm sure you could probably find it anywhere, but I'm curious to know what streaming service do you use where the song is available? It's probably on all of them, right? Yes, that was beautiful. And also, I'm wondering, do any of you chatters play the piano? Are there any Y&R chatters listening to this right now who know how to play the piano, who could possibly sign up for probably an unpaid role playing the piano in the background at the Neil Winters Jazz Club? Let me know if you are a piano player. Let me know this week if you would like to. I'm just curious to know if any of you guys play the piano and if you would like to have that gig. Well, Ellen says it was a pretty song for the memorial service. Well done, Danny. I hope you feel ashamed of yourself, Phyllis Summers Romalotti Newman Stark. I love when we get to call people by their full married names. Phyllis Summers Romalotti Newman Stark. It really gives you the upper hand on them when you really get to shove it in their face, all of their ridiculous marriages. And I don't even think that one has registered with me yet. Like, what? Phyllis Stark? What of the marriage? Was it real? I have no idea. Oh my goodness. Well, Victoria says, Lauren and Christine were very supportive of each other's stories. Christine listened patiently while Lauren spoke of her grief for Phyllis, and Lauren, being a good friend, sensed that Christine was struggling with the news of her own. I felt Christine's grief as she told the story of the disintegration of her marriage. Laura Lee Bell was superb in having me feel her pain and her sense of loss over Paul. Well, Laura Lee Bell is always phenomenal. Yeah, I love seeing her on my screen. I hope we're going to see her more. Did anybody notice that she seemed a little shaky? Especially in that last scene with Jack. I don't know why, but I just looked down and I saw that her hand was shaking a little bit. I wonder if she was nervous or if there's something else going on with her. I wasn't sure. But either way, yeah, I mean, the scene with Lauren and Chris was right on, and it is easy to understand that the marriage just kind of slowly evolved. It would be nice if there was always just one reason, i.e. he had desk sex with someone and then I broke up with them. But really, the marriage is probably more likely to just drift apart, and the answer's not quite so dramatic. But you know, I like the idea of checking in with Christine more often at this stage in her life. You know, I mean, she really represents a lot of viewers. Not only does she represent a lot of viewers, but she represents the show. So I think just having her around more often, it makes sense. And I hope that Y&R can work that out. Well, Daisy says, I hope Tucker does sell his company to Victor. I don't know if that would affect Ashley, but if she was still a part of the company, then she'd be working with Adam. And I'd love to see that happen. There might be a whole new dynamic brought to the show there, especially since Ashley can't stand Adam and has good reason not to. Anyway, it would be interesting to see how they'd work together, especially with their history. Yeah, Ashley and Adam, that would be a really good dynamic. And it seemed like Y&R was working up a rivalry between Tucker and Adam. So, yeah, I think that could be a really good direction. We'll see. I just wish somebody would buy it or not buy it or do something. Do something with it. Quit talking about it and do something with it. Last comment today comes from Naomi, who says, I enjoyed Abby and Devon today. Abby needs someone that will make her feel treasured. Devon is able to calm her down as she's going on about getting moved in. He told her to let the movers take care of it, and she looked relieved. She just glows as she's looking at Devon, and he looks so happy too. Yeah, seriously, let Abby be happy, please. Let Devon spoil her rotten. I mean, he is a billionaire. Can the viewers please just relax into that fantasy and believe that Abby doesn't have to move her own stuff? I mean, what good is having all of that money and power if you still have to schlep your own luggage around? Well, that just about does it for me this week, except that this is a big birthday week. I can't believe it. We have 3 Y&R chatters with birthdays this upcoming week. First is Diana. Oh, Diana, I love you, and I know how you're going to vote in the Christine and Danny poll. And I love that you love the sets. We're just always so in sync about that. And your birthday's April 17th. I hope you have a beautiful birthday. Jamie, Phyllis's #1 fan. Your birthday is April 19th. And I know you're going to be watching the show next week. Watching Phyllis cranking up the fire. I love that I can always count on you for that Phyllis support. Because I think Phyllis is a character that a lot of people don't like. She is in your face. She's a rager. And I think it's easy for that to turn you off, but I love her too, and I love that you're always there representing the Phyllis love. So happy birthday, Jamie, April 19th. And then Lynn, I haven't heard from you in a little while. Where are you, Lynn? Your birthday is April 22nd. I hope you have a beautiful day too, and come to yrchat.com and tell me what you're going to be doing for your birthday. Do you play the piano? Or is there anyone that could set up at the Neil Winters Jazz Lounge and play a little happy birthday tune on the piano for our 3 birthday chatters this week? That'd be nice. Oh, gosh. Birthdays, spring, new babies. Except we've spent most of the week has been in funeral wear. It's been a very funeral-y couple of weeks in Genoa City. We need some fresh air. Maybe that's why the baby was such a breath of fresh air. We'll see where we are next week. I don't know. Well, I love you guys. I hope you have a great rest of your week, and come back next Sunday and we'll chat about all of the crazy goings on in Genoa City. I love you. See you next time. Bye.